Off top, did you know snails have somewhere between 14,000 to 20,000 teeth and 4 noses? Play the music.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.
Welcome to the Domonique Foxworth Show. I got some interesting looks on my off top. We are joined today by Chicago's finest, Domonique Foxworth Show legend, the great Jason Goff. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you, in part because we had a pre-show that might be better than the actual show. But anyway.
Talking about my baby tricking in elementary school on the fig bars, bringing every snack for every lady in the world.
Hold on. Before we get to that, I got to let the people know that speaking of snacks, the vanilla snack is here. Charlie Kravitz, my man. So proud of Charlie. He's doing such a great job on this show. He's the man. That was sentimental.
Sun is out too. I could tell.
Yeah,
sun is out. I see Charlie's get up. He got the Scarface button open. I see you, boy.
I'm gonna lose a button a month this summer as I get more and more confidence with Domonique.
Charlie is the man. But I'm lifting Charlie.
That's
up
a shirt to buy a tiger with, right there. Boy.
It's a tablecloth.
That dude, you do look like a picnic.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh man.
Central Park Kravitz, what they call him.
We were talking about diss tracks before the show and talking about the lunchroom table where you roast people, but that was one of the roasts that we used to do where it's like a compliment, but because men are weird that way, you can't actually tell somebody they look fly. You're like, hey, you got a job interview today, Joe? Yeah. Yo, fancy.
Somebody got court today. I see you.
Oh, man. And you always get somebody. The best one I would always use, which is probably unfair because they could have called me for the same thing, but in middle school, somebody started getting on me. Then you just call out that one favorite shirt. And you be like, okay, I'm getting sick of seeing you in that polo shirt with the red stripes. You better not show up here on Friday. And then you have planted a seed because you didn't win that day. But you know what? They're going to wear their favorite shirt again. And then you just win the day. Oh, here we go. That striped polo shirt.
To make somebody take it out of their rotation, that was the ether.
They can't take it out because it's a go-to. And then you say the same thing. Hey, you've been wearing that shirt all year long. Chanel ain't give you a look yet. Stop wearing that shirt. It ain't going to work. Get a new shirt.
Dude, that's basically, you're the guy who asks if they breathe in or out when they shoot free throws. I've never thought of it. And then you just can't make free throws ever again.
Hey, I got you at home in your closet thinking about me like, damn, I can't wear this shirt again. And then when you wear it, I'm cooking you and the girl that you like. Anyway.
See, this is the problem that I had. I had people who were, affiliated with the police department around me every once in a while. I had an uncle, so if it got too deep, I say, "Hey, man, you might want to get them tickets taken care of." Like I used to try to hit their parents every once in a while. Like, hey, this is bigger than me and you. Okay, this stems to generational insufficiency. So you might want to have.
Dominique's friends with Dak also, so same difference.
See, when that's a going for 50 shirt right there.
It is nice.
You just know from here on out.
He gonna get his shots up. I ain't got nothing to say about Charlie. I'm good. Charlie win. I'm backing down. I try to be his friend. I try to tell him how awesome he is.
How proud I am. You want me to compliment you?
No.
You're welcome.
I know you love me when you roast me. Anyway,
the brother conversion, like you slowly but surely, Domonique is turning Charlie into all the things that us brothers are uncomfortable but love about each other. Charlie is just full fledged at the pool party now, letting it rock.
I'm not turning him. I'm allowing his inner Negro to live out.
That's all it is.
Just let it free, Charlie. It's okay. Don't hide it. You got curls. We're gonna tighten them curls up. Them curls gonna get tighter and tighter as the year goes on.
We bringing Charlie to NABJ and just stare everybody in the face and be like, hey, he is our Isaiah Hartenstein.
Hold on. Time out. Charlie, what did I text you 2 weeks ago pertaining to the NABJ?
You're coming.
You're damn right you're coming, Charlie. You coming with me, baby. I'm bringing him.
Are you really?
I'm bringing him.
It's in Chicago.
I know.
So y'all already know.
I know. That's why he's coming, because Jason Goff got us. I'm bringing Charlie to NABJ. We're doing a live show in person with Jason Goff, and we are meeting and greeting lots of young black journalists so that we can populate these airwaves with them. Oh, we got a strategy, Jason. We got a strategy. We're going to be there.
And we can all thank Charlie for it.
Charlie came back out. Told you them curls gonna get tight. We gonna tighten them curls up.
Oh yeah.
I sent Charlie. Never mind. I'm not gonna tell a video. Yeah, I'm gonna tell. I sent Charlie a video of these nappy perms. The internet is a terrible place, man. I sent Charlie a video of nappy perms.
It's a tough time right now for your curls not to curl the right way.
They got perms to give you more naps. But what is going on?
Hey man, listen. Once I saw the tanning phenomenon take place in my high school years, I was like, at some point, y'all getting the rhythm and not the blues, and it's getting too easy out here. You feel me? Like I had to fight to get my waves.
Hold on. We can't just blow by that. I had heard that one before. Is that?
You getting the rhythm and not the blues.
That's fantastic.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Charlie, John B. Who's my man for Alan Thicke's son, Robbie Thicke?
Yeah.
We saw him in Vegas.
Transfer.
The
dudes who transfer into the school, and all of a sudden, all the sisters love him. It's like, hey man, you ain't got to deal with half the stuff I got to deal with at home, and you taking the girls.
I hated the new kid. New kid come to school, get all the play at first. He get a shot, and also when Charlie and I were in Vegas for the Super Bowl, Robert Thicke looked like he had the blues.
You love blues.
He had the blues that we saw him in the he didn't have our blues, but he had a version of blues.
I mean,
man was just smoking alone
right outside the Vanderpump Cocktail Garden, waiting to be recognized.
Hey, listen, after Marvin Gaye's estate come for you, man, you got to churn out another hit.
Man,
you know what I'm saying? You got to keep it moving.
We can't even get to the fact that your son is taking extra fig bars to school in order to make it rain. He just hand them out.
Listen, you got to supply him with the currency. These fig bars is like Bitcoin in the playground right now, boy. That stock is never going down. Gosh. So we up here. Well, shout out to the Goffs. Shout out to the Goffs.
Shout out. Well, from one of your sons to your new city son.
So excitement has to be high. He hasn't played a game yet. You have the best quarterback in franchise history on your team, Caleb Williams. The roster is in a good spot. They got a Dunze. They have Keenan Allen. They have DJ Moore. What are fair expectations for Caleb Williams and the Bears this season?
Those don't exist, sir. That is not a part of this conversation. I'm not sitting here, and I'm not about to do the footballington thing with the tough rookie struggles. Hey, listen, man, there are people running around this city acting like the NFL ain't hard. like these ain't the best dudes from every conference of every stretch of this country. The expectations are high, because you did what you did last year. And, there's some stuff in the weeds that nationally people didn't have to take any note of. Like last year, Matt Eberflus's staff and Matt Eberflus, they blew 3 games they should have won last year. Like 3 games that they probability-wise were like in the 80th percentile to win. That happened 3 times last year. Oof. So you were 7-10 last year with apparently, the worst quarterback of all time. As I'm waking up this morning and reading that my man might be returning kicks here soon. But you did that last year with that offense. So this year with one of the generational quarterback prospects that people speak of, now I think he's going to have a fantastic career. But the Patrick Mahomes stuff we need to put to the side. With that and everything that the NFL is going to present to a rookie quarterback, like you're counting on some very interesting pieces. Your left tackle, when you didn't draft one at the top of this draft with one of the picks that you had. They drafted a project swing dude, but Braxton Jones is going to be the difference between you being able to have 3 wide receivers on the field or you having to put Gerald Everett on the other side of Cole Kmet and run 2 tight end stuff. Like there's some real football stuff that's going to have to come into play here, but the expectations are high. They should have been an 8-9, 9-7, 9-8 team last year. So 10 wins, I feel like, is a fair expectation for a quarterback who is going to play not only on schedule, but some of the stuff that he can do on top of when the play breaks down. That's the magic that you're drafting for as well. So fair expectations, 10, 11 wins next year. And the defense was solid.
Yeah, the last 10, 11 wins is like fair expectations, I think, or probably maybe not fair, but those are expectations of the team, and which is heavily going to fall on Caleb Williams. But the interesting thing is the note that we always get about y'all Chicago Bears quarterback history is y'all ain't never had a 4,000-yard passer. Is it possible? I think of like rookies in recent history, I got like Andrew Luck, Herbert, Stroud, Winston, Cam Newton to throw for 4,000 yards in their rookie season. Are we going to break the curse this year?
Yeah. Yeah, this the best. we talk about what quarterbacks haven't done. This is the best wide receiver room, I think, in this team's history.
Mm-hmm.
And there, Alshon Jeffrey and Brandon Marshall were in that wide receiver room at one point. And, before Alshon had the soft tissue issues, he strung together a couple of seasons there. And we all know what Brandon Marshall was as a talent every place that he landed. Yeah. You got DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Rome Odunze, who a guy, if Marvin Harrison Jr. isn't in this draft, I think a lot of people think he would have been the first wide receiver taken.
Can't pass up on it.
Yeah, I mean, Malik Neighbors is tough. Don't get me wrong, but I think they were right there neck and neck on a lot of people's draft boards. So that wide receiver room has not been this stocked in this team's history, I think.
I got a question.
Now we're gonna have to see it play out. What's up?
This is about your former quarterback.
What's that? How
are we supposed to handle these reports that he's going to be a punt returner? Because I feel
I'm not handling it well.
Okay.
I'm not handling it well. I had a single tear, trickle down my cheek when I read it. I read the reports. I believe it was Pro Football Talk. It was the first one I saw, so I was like, let me go ahead and check something else. And I was like, oh damn, somebody else saying it too. Yeah, man. This is what happens when you don't take care of your kids. You know what I mean? He came into the league and no one took care of him. And now we're talking about him returning punts like he Rocket Ishmael or something, man. Like this dude, at every level of football, he was like the dude. Then all of a sudden he gets to this level and he's not giving anything and he's broken. And then we're sitting there like, well, does anybody want to adopt? It's pretty much like the league's putting him up for adoption right now. Like, anybody want this quarterback? You returning kicks. Taysom Hill is the only person we speak of this nature, and that's because we don't believe Taysom Hill can play quarterback. I mean, like, hey, what else can you do, fast guy? Come on, man. Like, Warren Moon is sitting there looking at that like, hey, man, we didn't fight for this.
Oh gosh, I'm glad, but I will say this. One, I'm glad we can laugh about it. Because it wasn't too long ago where I felt like it would have been my obligation to be outraged. While it is,
we would have been protesting.
Yeah, while I do believe it's absurd, I also look around the league and be like, okay, fine, maybe, whatever. I don't care what y'all do.
Look how quickly you get sacrificed.
I mean,
you gotta get one of those up every once in a while.
If CJ Stroud ain't show up last year, I might have a problem. If Jordan Love would have struggled a little bit, I might have to cape up for my man, Justin Fields. And I do remember, in the first couple weeks of this show, right, is when I said the stuff about Justin Fields.
And a trade.
All of Chicago got mad at me.
You jumped on my pod.
And I came on your pod, and I made the point that, it's good for y'all, too. Y'all this up. Start over.
But then they played it perfectly.
Yeah, they did. They did. But you know what they did do? They got Justin Fields. They did play perfectly. But Justin Fields, not perfectly for him. Yeah. Y'all ain't never gave him a chance.
But just a tiny counterpoint.
Okay.
New kickoff rules. The guys are all going to be blocking each other.
Shut up.
There aren't any.
Shut up.
There aren't any linemen on. There aren't any big guys. If you're on that team, would you want to tackle Justin Fields in the open field, Domonique?
I don't want to tackle anybody in any field.
Theory.
No, I don't want to tackle anybody ever if I don't have to.
Charlie just swooped in just now, Domonique, while we sitting here putting the obituary together for this man's career. It's like, hey, but things could be worse, right?
This man, no, don't try to rationalize this, and also don't serious me up right now. We laughing.
You
laughing.
Want to see it a little bit.
Hell no. Hell no. It's like, I don't know. I don't want to see.
He's like a John Deere lawnmower running through small guys. It's going to be incredible.
Charlie's out here playing Blades of Steel. Like, he's putting video game character. You get the small guy, the fat guy, and one big guy. You can win.
If you were playing Madden,
this is this man's career.
Would you not consider it?
I don't. This is stupid.
See, but listen, hey, Domonique, this is how it happens. All of a sudden.
We got to hold the ground.
This is how it happens.
Hold our ground. Thank you, Charlie, for reminding us.
Right. Now all of a sudden, hey, son, you can play tight end. Look what it did for Justin Fields' career.
Charlie. You're reverse psychology me back to the position that I need to be. Well done, Charlie. This is my guy.
Do you remember the amount of time you would make Dante Hall your quarterback and then Mike Allstott your kick returner in Madden?
Oh my gosh, yeah, they had to be outlawed. It had to be outlawed. You can't move people out of their true
I
position.
blame football, man.
It's not
I blame
Madden.
football.
And I don't want to see like Nas doing Drake covers. It's what it feels like. Like it's uncomfortable to see somebody put in a position like it feels like desperate, you know, like it feels like somebody who was once a high, special, prized person being like, hey, I'll do that thing for you for a couple $. Like I sing that song for you for a couple. Watch me do my dance. Put a little money in the hat. Like he was a prime time main stage performer, and you got my guy out here returning kicks on a street corner with a hat. No, I don't want to see him returning kicks for quarters. No.
You know what you just made me think of, like me seeing my legends doing Car Shield commercials. Like,
yeah, that's what it's like. Like, what are we doing? It makes me sad.
Like, man, he made 6 in the morning, man. That makes me feel bad. You know what I mean? I'm watching my legends do this. Like, Justin Fields is the reason why the NFL, like that. This is the reason why I tell anybody, because of the interactions I've had with guys like yourself and former NFL athletes, hey, man, you should root for them dudes to get every single bit of every dime of every dollar, because you can be 21 years old and think the world is your oyster, and 3.5 years later, you are looking at someone saying, hey, take that red penny off, put yourself an 80 number on, and go return these kicks.
That is bad. When they say, give me that jersey. You don't need the special jersey no more. Get down there with them blue collar boys. Take that special jersey off, and the next step is they put them on. They have them on scout team, being a rush in on scout team.
Oh my God!
I thought you were gonna say punt on punt coverage. Not his thing.
Yeah,
based on his experience in Georgia, not his thing.
Hey, if y'all Taysom Hill out Justin Fields, I will be boycotting for the next 2 years.
No, you won't.
No, I won't. You're right.
You're right.
You got Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
You got 11 wins this year already.
I mean, 10, 11, you know.
It's kind of like with movies, though, where I remember one of the things you have, like, racial stereotypes in movies, and the point is, or TV shows, the point is you can't, it's not that you can't have a black drug dealer in your movie, but you're going to have to put a couple of lawyers in there, too, to balance it out. We got a lot of black star quarterbacks. Justin Fields can return a punt or two. Get on back there. Get on back there and sling them rocks.
I love it. Get on back you there. Look around like you look at the neighborhood like, you know, I guess it's okay. Yeah, you know, the neighborhood's getting a lot better around here.
Between Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, y'all can convert a couple quarterbacks now.
I mean, why not run more option passes?
I was waiting for Charlie's. I was waiting for Charlie's submission.
Slash.
I'm just like, if we were playing in a video game, you wouldn't consider it the halfback pass, Justin Fields.
100%. Anything to win, but we're this. I can't feel like I'm this wrong about something. Like this has happened to me before in my life, where I'm like, all right, I'm not this wrong, am I? And I keep going. Like I was the last person to get off the Ben Simmons train, and if there is one more, highlight tape in the summer that I see where he knocked down jumpers, I'm like, hey y'all see that? Like there's certain things. Hey, back in the day, Keith Van Horn, you couldn't tell me Keith Van Horn wasn't about to be the next Larry Bird. And then I watched Keith's career. I'm like, but hey, man, he still got something. He still got something. Justin Fields, there's certain players that you plant that flag with. You're not gonna tell me all of a sudden you forgot how to play football. Like we have these nature versus nurture conversations with everything else, and then sometimes when it gets to quarterback, and we sit there and act like it happens in a vacuum. It's not the case.
Yeah, the problem is, and this show firmly believes that you can ruin a quarterback, and it doesn't mean that you're wrong about Justin Fields, but I don't see him ever being the quarterback that he could have been in a better situation. I was talking about this when we were doing this earlier. I was going through a list of rookie quarterbacks when I'm prepping for the show that had good seasons, and I was just thinking about guys that, like, had Joe Flacco landed in an organization run poorly, Joe Flacco would not have turned into a multi-$100 million Super Bowl champion. And that's just like one of the examples. I played with Matt Ryan. I played with both those guys. I think they fit in the same category. And honestly, I think Dak Prescott probably fits in that category also. And I think that Justin Fields is probably more talented than all of those guys. And they really did him bad.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned that because I wrote this down in my notes just walking around today, and I was thinking about Tom Brady and how Tom Brady gets introduced to that situation because Mo Lewis separates Drew Bledsoe from his life pretty much on the field. But that was a team.
Mm-hmm.
Like Tom Brady is undeniably the greatest quarterback that we've ever seen because of all the things throughout his career and the 7 Super Bowls. And of course he got drafted where he got drafted, so he probably wouldn't get this situation at the outset. But you drop Tom Brady fresh out of Michigan into any team, we might not see the greatest quarterback of all time happen.
He was getting,
it's like it's the only sport where you've got a wall of security to protect the best player, right? Or the most important player. It's the only sport where that player is treated like the president in the building. You know what Ryan Poles is doing right now to make sure that everybody on that team and in that organization understands who the man is? Like Jalen Johnson said some things because Justin Fields was his man before the draft, and Jalen Johnson has been talking about those things he said. And you know why he's been talking about them? Because 18 is here.
Yeah. I don't care.
Right?
I don't care about how many interceptions you dropped, Jalen, because you dropped a lot last year. Covered the hell out of people. I don't care how many them things you catch or drop. What Jalen needs to understand is everybody in the building, your livelihood is connected. Jalen, you're going to get big money if you get a pick in the Super Bowl. You know how you get the Super Bowl? Caleb. Everybody gonna get my
Larry Brown on the phone with Jalen Johnson, like, hey man,
my
cool
man.
out.
Speaking of this, my man Ted Cruz, who is now a sentence that I expected never to say, but he is moved up in the organization over there in Chicago. Like he was the media relations guy in Kansas City. That's my point. Is everybody in the business? Like Ted is great. He's awesome. But I don't know exactly what his role was, but it's a big role up there. I sent him congratulations text. Proud of him. But you know what? They called him because these teams keep winning Super Bowls. And so whoever handles travel for y'all mess around and find themselves as an assistant GM if y'all can rack up a couple Super Bowls. So everybody in that building knows, all the reporters in Chicago, you know how you get to ESPN and you get bigger and better opportunities? You know what? Y'all better be rooting for that man too, because as good as he does, as good as that team does, it's going to mean opportunities for everybody close to that team.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. I remember when I first started getting noticed in not only this city but nationally, it was because I decided one day on the side of a road when we was at Bears training camp in Bourbonnais, me and my guys were talking. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to, along with doing the production work that I was doing the show on, I'm going to head to the United Center every night for free and get my own tape because the Bulls just drafted Derrick Rose. Oh. And I said, I'm going to have my, my own intellectual property, proprietary content. I'm going to ask the questions that I want to ask and have him on record and just, follow his career. And all of a sudden, Derrick Rose turned into Derrick Rose.
I can't wait.
And the people started, the Caleb Williams thing is not only good for the city, but it's good for a lot of people who haven't been heard or talked to in this city when it comes to media.
I can't wait for your NABJ panel on how y'all young kids ain't working hard enough. Better get your ass out there. They don't need an invite. They don't need to invite you. Invite yourself. You got so many more tools than I had in my day with the internet and all this. I can't wait. Don't waste it here. Make them come to NABJ and get that good stuff.
And then I'm going to point to Charlie and be like, hey, we got all the merch over there, by the way. The purple jackets with Charlie's face on it. They're going for $1.50 a pop.
Yeah. All right, Charlie. What's next, man?
Guys, let's pivot to some college. We got to talk Deion for a second. There was the Athletic article. He's been tweeting at a bunch of kids who have transferred from Colorado. Is the Deion Sanders era at Colorado falling apart even faster than you expected?
Falling apart.
I mean, I think
I expected some of this. Yeah, I expected some of this. Like Deion was not going to stop being Deion, and I also expected some of the reaction. I don't think it's the best way to handle yourself as the adult in the room, and without being on because the interesting part about Deion to me is a lot of the people who don't like the Deion-like characters cleave to a lot of the things he says, right? So it's like Deion is more a part of the establishment than anybody would like to believe. So when he's doing some of these things, it's like, well, I understand who Deion represents himself to be and also what Deion is now. So, like, you got to take some of this good with the bad. When it all comes down to it, if Colorado don't win games and it makes it look like all you were doing were trying to get certain kids to the professional level, you know, a lot of coaches do that. So how will he be judged? Like, this whole going back and forth with kids in the portal, it looks it looks to me like, hey, you bigger than that. You don't have to rock like that. We don't have to talk to kids and pull up their stats, and you know, kids won't be kids in the situation. So it's not the best look, but also the people who are jumping in, like, you're the ones who wanted this whole thing. Like, you're the ones who wanted the entire Deion experience, and he's creating a lot of content, but yeah, it ain't the best look in the world.
So I think Max Olson's the one who wrote the Athletic piece, that the first one that I read that kind of set off this cycle of Deion conversation. And in that piece, he talked to a bunch of the players, and of course the players are going to be upset. But that wasn't a big walk away to me. Was doing further reading, it's like the one thing that we said that Deion could do, like the reason to endure all the other stuff that you may not like, is he gonna get them to sign up.
Right.
They said his recruiting class is currently ranked 80th.
Right.
So I think Charlie might be getting a little bit ahead of himself by talking about, is it like falling apart too soon? However, it do feel fall aparty. If y'all stunk last year, let's be clear.
Ain't nothing been put together to fall apart yet.
Yeah, that's it. Y'all stunk last year, and the whole premise of this conversation is Deion can offer something, whether it's his personality or whether it's access to media or whatever. He can offer something that's going to, and also like his race, like people put that up as a thing, like Deion is black, he gonna get so many of these players to come to these, like none of that stuff is working. He just seems annoying, and it doesn't seem like, he never seemed like a coach that I wanted to play for, but he seemed like a coach that I could understand why people would want to play for him. None of that seems to be coming to fruition right now, so I'm not sure what he has to cling to hold this together other than attention. And attention has value. And listening to those young players talk about how they felt like they were extras in his reality show, like that stung. And I wouldn't want to go do that. And I'm sorry, Charlie, I know you got stuff on this topic too, but to your point, the thing that I want to be careful of, and Jason said it clearly, is Deion is the establishment. He is getting a lot of people upset at him for things that all the coaches do. I want to be clear that the things that we're talking about, or at least me, that are frustrating me, are not things that all the coaches do. Yeah. All the coaches aren't talking to their players.
That's exactly.
All the coaches aren't having reality shows, and all the coaches don't have a son on the team that it seems pretty clear that a lot of this is about setting your son up. Like, that's not all the coaches. But all this running kids out of school, I hate it too. But let's come down on everybody for that, because they all running kids. They was running kids out of school. I told the story here about coming back from the Orange Bowl and having our coaches have meetings with players, because now we good. We can go after guys. We going to need that scholarship, sir. So this isn't new.
Yeah. I mean, he's taking it to the extreme. 53 players
it's nuts.
in the portal is an extreme amount. But I mean, like, it just feels like he does not care about anyone in the program but his son going to the NFL. That's what it feels like reading this stuff and seeing his reaction to it and being so flippant about it, being like, these kids are all props to get Shedeur drafted incredibly high. And that's an extreme version of the college coach viewing all of their players as just like movable, interchangeable pieces and assets. Like, he doesn't even care about it doesn't seem like he cares about the winning or the program building.
Yeah. I mean,
I think Deion has also told you from the gate, like from the moment you've met Deion, it has been about the talent, being able to talk that type of back it up. But then on top of it, it's about me.
Yeah.
And I don't mean it in a disrespectful way, but like, you know, the alter ego and the prime time, like, it's about him. So in his older age, when we've seen him on the media side of things, Like even some of those, we used to watch some of those draft interviews and be like, oh, this is about Deion. It just happened to be this shorty's moment right now, right? Like, and now he's doing it on the collegiate level as a coach. And this is the other thing too, bringing the Migos and everybody and all the entertainers and everybody on the sidelines. Like that's a trick that you can pull when you starting out, but when you losing, they don't want to be there. So now, what do you have? Now you have a sideline that's a little barren, that don't look as cool. Like at some point you got to win.
But that's
stuff, what we've also associated with him too. Like he's won at places. So he ain't winning right now.
The coach who says it's about me, that is not Deion. That's not unique to Deion. I think a lot of college coaches are like that. But I think what Charlie's pointing out is a lot of what Deion does is what the other coaches do is just on a much bigger, more aggressive scale, to the point of 53 players in the portal is abnormal. So if anything good comes out of this, like I don't dislike Deion Sanders. I could care less about his career. But if anything good comes out of this, it is a light being shown on the relative. As we get into NIL, I think people are shifting the conversation to believing that like, oh, these players got power. No, they don't. They don't have power. A couple guys got some power, but like the dynamics have not changed in college football that much. The coaches have more power and leverage, and a couple star players can do it also. But I don't know. We'll see. Football season should be fun. Fun story to see what Deion's going to be up to.
Child of prime. I just can't believe he was calling most of his players child of prime because he didn't know most of their names.
Jesus. Like that's some religious type.
You can't even go like 86.
Yeah, right.
What the fuck is a child?
Well, when so many cameras are around too, that's the other thing too. I remember when we used to watch reality TV when it first dropped, like after the OJ trial, when you saw that first New York Real World in like '92, and you're like, oh, these people are acting like they don't see these cameras around. Now we are 30 years into the genre, and it's like, no, you have to act because the cameras are around. And I think that's the problem too. There's so many cameras around that any kind of moment that isn't prime-ish, it won't look right. So now you have to fully be that all the time, and then on top of it, you're not winning. So substantive style is what's really cool, not the style without substance that we see a whole bunch of times in these instances. You got your beat a lot last year, and teams put that target on your back because of all these cameras. And
don't put me in a position where I have to root for Norvell. That was that annoying coach. Like, I can't. Don't put me in a position where I have to root for him. And also, don't call me no damn child of prime. Like, I got a daddy and a mama, and also I'm a grown man, and you're not Jesus.
I was literally imagining 19-year-old you with Deion calling you child of prime.
That wouldn't have worked. I was pretty rule following, good dude. Every coach I was with liked me, but ain't nobody ever tried to emasculate me like that or son me to literally to that degree. Like, nah, we ain't gonna do that. I mean, Lorenzo gonna have an issue with that first, and then I'm gonna have an issue with it.
Right, the father figure thing is like, hey, but some of these kids got daddies, so
even if they don't, you ain't God.
It's okay to be the coach.
Yeah, you are coach. You ain't God. Like child of just fast religious connotations to me. But anyway, Charlie, are we gonna get to some basketball?
Yeah, let's do one real quick. We're gonna do a little doom casting here.
All right.
All right.
It's real tough times for the Suns. Matt Ishbia disagrees. He said that 26 teams would trade rosters with him. It's also real tough times for the LA Clippers. I know they're only down 3-2 in the series, but Kawhi Leonard is perpetually injured at this point. And these are the two teams that have gone the most all in, like to a preposterous historic point. Who has a bleaker outlook for the next 5 years to you guys, the Suns or the Clippers?
Jeez Louise. Oh my God. Bleaker outlook, probably the Clippers.
Yeah.
Probably the Clippers. Let's face it, man. Kawhi has been dragging that knee around since before Toronto. Like at the end of the San Antonio run where it was like iffy. And now he's full blown Bernard King status, where it's like when he out there, he cold, but how often can you get out there with that knee like that? And I think he got 3 years, $150 extension.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of money for a guy that doesn't play in as many games, especially big games, as you would like. Paul George is in that Donovan Mitchell, Trae Young conversation where he might be on the move here soon because it's got to land on somebody, and it's somebody that, we haven't extended. And other than that, I mean, the Clippers as well. The Suns don't have to play in anybody's shadow. Right, the Clippers have to be that shadow team when you're making the LA decision as well. So you're arguing against that. It's the brand on the can as well. Like since I've been a child, the Clippers have been the laughing stock of the NBA. So when they do have some kind of relevance, it's like but don't worry, they're gonna clip soon. The Suns don't have that. The Suns can sell you a different life. The Suns can sell you some different things. The Devin Booker to New York thing, fine. Phoenix is an easier, I think, organization to get back on track than the Clippers, especially with some of the contracts that they're looking at. If you unloading things in Phoenix, that's fine. You stuck with some things in LA.
The Clippers thing, the one time that they decided not to clip, it ended up falling apart so badly that they made a damn television miniseries about it and got Lawrence Fishburne out here to do. The makeup was being real generous with that hairline, I have to say. as someone who is fighting for the time, they was real generous with Doc's shadow hairline. But that is
something about 80s point guards that are on TV that just love to tattoo things on their head.
That aside, I think you're right. The one way I'm sorry. The one way
and that's my man too.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure. The one way I would push back on you is it's not much of a pushback because I agree with you. But like, if you think of assets worth keeping, the Clippers have one, and that's Ty Lue. Like nothing else on there is an asset worth keeping.
Good roster role players.
Yeah, I guess I'm thinking big pieces, but they have. And if you're going to look to the other side about potential anchors, if we're going to call the Kawhi contract an anchor, considering that his knee is never going to get healthier and he's never going to be better, the anchor on the other side is the Bradley Beal contract. He's a worse player than Kawhi and has about the same contract, about the same amount of time. That's going to be a hard piece to do anything with. But they also do have Devin Booker under contract, who is a great player and is a potential asset you could use to rebuild the organization if you want to move them out. I'd rather be the Suns than the Clippers, but I'm glad I'm neither.
So that's funny. I think I would rather be the Clippers than the Suns.
Really?
And the trump card here being Matt Ishbia.
Yeah.
I'm not blaming this on the players. It's just that this guy right now has a delusional outlook. Like his best moment as an owner is trying to get Jokic suspended, holding the basketball and trying to get Jokic suspended in the playoffs last year. Because you don't have to give up all your draft picks until 2030 to win 49 games. That's not the bar that you give up your entire future for. And they are past the second apron. They cannot take in another dollar that's not one for one. So this roster as it is right now is stuck. And like Booker, really good player. Durant's still an excellent player who's like, he's not.
You got to explain the apron. I just saying past the apron. I think some people don't get.
They're past the second tax apron. They're beyond hard cap. They can't. They can't take in another dollar without sending out an exact same dollar amount. There's no 10% rule. There's no adding to that. And the roster, we know it's not good enough, and it's not going to get better because while Durant's still awesome, like people say he looks just like he did in his absolute prime. If you go back and look at the OKC videos, he's a statue comparatively. And he's still such a good jump shooter. He's such a good player. He's super valuable. But this team doesn't look like it's going to win the title. And the Bradley Beal thing, it's a huge deal to me. It's like you're paying a guy.
Yeah.
I don't think there's another contender in the NBA, an actual contender, good team, that would want him as their third option.
Yeah. No.
So my only pushback on that would be CBA is about to change. Money's about to change. So the real steals are going to be like guys like Jalen Brunson, who got a couple more years on that deal. Guys like Bradley Beal, because we're looking at a situation in Chicago right now with a guy like Zach LaVine, who over the last course, like half decade, those two players have been compared to each other in terms of not enough winning, but you can see things talent-wise that would make you believe they're a premier player until you have to put them on that stage.
Yeah.
Bradley Beal got put on that stage. Zach LaVine, if the injuries hadn't accrued over this last year, probably would have been put on that stage too, because, you know, who knows? Well, not who knows. It seems like the Bulls and the Zach LaVine are getting ready to part ways here. So I think the cap will become a little bit more manageable for players like that. You're going to have to give up a lot to get rid of them too, by the way. Like, that's the thing. But yeah, and the Ishbia point, I mean, new owners always a crapshoot. Like, some scream and rant and rave on the sidelines. You're like, oh, this is cool. But then how do they manage an organization? We're seeing right now that this management of this organization, hopefully, you know, for their sake, gets a little bit more guidance, a little bit more foresight. But I wouldn't like to be either one of these teams.
The one,
I'd like to be Denver.
Step one.
I'd like to be Denver and Boston.
Step one. Matt Ishbia has to admit he has a problem.
Well,
I mean,
what's step 2 and 3 then?
Not to push back on you, because this doesn't change. You're saying that the situation currently is bad. It is. But the one pushback that is a slight defense of Matt Ishbia is, who didn't like that roster when it first came together? Who wouldn't have made that trade for Kevin Durant? Like, move everything. I remember feeling like, damn, he's a new owner, but
he got Durant.
He got Kevin Durant next to Devin Booker, and then he made another move to get Bradley Beal. Like, at the beginning of the season, we thought they were a real, like, we didn't think, like, look at this new owner doing new owner dumb stuff. We saw him doing new owner stuff, but we was like, oh, but this man making a run at it. So, I don't know. Maybe he'll continue.
Has Durant reached that hot potato status?
Nah.
It's like, who gonna get? Because defensively, let me say this: defensively, you know, we talk about the offensive stuff. Defensively is the biggest fall off. Like, having that guy be able to create the perimeter switches and still be a 7-footer and defend the way he did, and then the weak side defense that he showed while he was at Golden State.
That's
like,
crazy.
I think a lot of this also has been. I won't say, you know, I'm not one of these guys that thinks Frank Vogel is a poor coach. I just think there are certain coaches fit for certain things and for certain teams and schemes. Like, the issues that I had
better not call him a bad coach, because Charles Barkley is coming to your doorstep.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Yeah, I've been yelled at by a lot of older cats on my block before too. Like, it's gonna be all right. You gotta have to catch me first. But no, I think we get to that point too where all the jump shots that you want to knock down and all the mismatches that you want to create on offense is fine. But the same thing that Dallas is having an issue with. If your best player is the one that's giving up that 30, he better go for 40 every night. And that's going to become tougher as well. I think Durant's, I won't say fall off, but some of the steps that he's taking back defensively because of age and because of all these minutes, I think those are the subtle things that are leading to these kinds of outcomes, whether it be in Brooklyn or now in Phoenix.
Yeah, I mean, they're moving to the stage. Him, LeBron, I think Paul George are moving to a different stage of their career where, I mean, we ain't talking about number one options, obviously. Maybe we ain't even talking about number two options. We talking about, hey, we know that this guy can give us something. We come over here and get something. The problem is we don't know what they're expecting, because the way the CBA is currently set up, they are eligible for more money than they have ever been eligible for in their lives. And you can't pay a guy like that if he's not going to be your number one or two option. And they going to be, at least LeBron is going to be expecting 50 plus.
And the problem is the boogeyman is out here hunting them all down in Minnesota.
Oh, that boogeyman. I thought he was talking about Kendrick. I didn't know who you were talking about.
I thought you were talking about Jokic. We all had different.
Yeah. That is true. He is a boogeyman.
Yeah, this is this is true. This is true. Yeah.
Of course. Anyway. Yeah,
of course. Yeah.
It's been
the NABJ invite has been received.
Yeah, you got to work our way back to that. Anyway, we all love Jokic. He's such a giving passer. Anyway, it's been fun. Jason Goff, you're the man. I appreciate it. Charlie, it's been fun. Let's do Roses and Thorns. Oh, Jason, you might want to stick around and listen to this episode of Roses and Thorns.
He's so good!
How has Domonique been lately?
Bad or good?
Let's find out. This is Roses and Thorns.
All right, time for your favorite segment with my favorite person, Roses and Thorns, with my wife, Ashley. Oh yeah.
Times 2.
Bill is listening. He fast forwards to
I
this
have a
part
good
first.
memory.
Shout out to Bill Barnwell.
Yes, shout out to
Yes,
him.
unfortunate. Yeah, this is unfortunate. So there's a topic that we're going to talk about, and you having a good memory is the reason why we're going to talk about this topic. So
Don't put it on me.
I mean, it is kind of
I'm
the
trying to
reason
play
why
heads up.
why we're going to talk. Well, all right, maybe we'll play heads up. I'll have you guys know that if this topic goes well, you'll enjoy it. If not, there's going to be a cut right here, and we're going to start playing our version of heads up. So the draft. I got a lot of text going on the draft, side text and group text.
Teams got great players. The Commanders, we have Jaden Daniels coming in. A couple other DC boys were drafted in the top wherever they were drafted. I have no idea. They were high.
You keep giving me these
Go
segues.
DC.
You keep giving me these segues that I cannot avoid. So
go ahead, take one of them. Run.
Yeah, so your DC boys. All right, anyway.
But
I
not
think
Jaden Daniels, right?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think
Not
that there's been a lot of conversation, not on the mainstream places, but on social media and on side group texts about the athletes and their black girlfriends their white girlfriends the black athletes and their white girlfriends at the draft.
There were some of both.
Yeah, there was some of both. And I thought that it was worth talking about because I think there was one video that you shared with me that's gotten really popular where it's some guy trying to explain why athletes date white women and all the reasons.
He also was not an athlete.
Yeah,
to be clear, it was kind of weird.
He said, I have lots of D1 friend athletes.
It sounded like male groupie.
He gave his explanations and they just felt like really stupid and wrong. And maybe, I'm not saying he's a liar. I imagine that the athletes told him that, but it just felt weird. And I think there's a lot of
friends.
Yeah.
Whatever.
There's a lot of pressure put on these guys, and I think I've never been happy that I wasn't a first round pick or until this draft, because it feels like it really sucks for 20, 21, 22, 24 in some cases year-old kids young men to be drafted and then have to be met with the social media backlash of their relationship choices. And we're in a time where I think that you should not have to be, but I do recognize that there are dynamics in this country, in the history of this country, and within Black culture that make it a conversation piece.
So the reason he's saying he's putting it on me is because I wasn't I think we were in different rooms watching the draft, and occasionally we would
in
meet
different
up.
cities.
Oh yeah, you were out of town.
I was in.
No, you were back by the time oh no, you're right. You were in New York. You're right. I was in DC
for the first round, at least.
Okay. And so I guess I was texting him, but we were talking on the phone. Maybe it was just it wasn't just text. But I wasn't watching the whole thing. But then once I said it once, then he'd be like, in this one. I joked and I said, he had a different girlfriend prior to me, and she's lovely. But I said, ooh, had the cameras been on you, had you gotten drafted higher, and had cameras on you, you'd have looked just like them with your white girlfriend sitting right next to you. A lovely, wonderful woman, or a girl back then. I didn't know her then, but woman now. And so that's why he's blaming it on me. I just said it as a joke because he had commented on it, and I was like, you be in the same boat. You don't got to comment. But then also maybe you are more in a better place to comment. But I remember when I was in college, I did notice, because I went to pretty white schools, but it was pretty segregated white, middle and high school. And so there wasn't a lot of interracial relationships there. But once I got to Maryland, I was like, oh, interracial relationships are everywhere. And it is often Black athletes that I would see them. I remember noticing it then. And honestly, when I was younger, I'd be like, why this? But as I've gotten older, one, I have so many friends who are products of interracial relationships. And I have so many, I have plenty of friends in, and so I think obviously in society, we want any consenting adult to be able to date any other consenting adult. But I think for me as a Black woman particularly, as much as I'm not hating on it, I'm not, what's for me is for me. And even if it's with a white woman on draft day, will get to me. I am not concerned about that personally. It is curious when you watch it.
So I think, first of all, to go back to my draft experience, you know my mother, and you don't know Isaiah Wilson, though.
I don't.
But Isaiah Wilson was a tackle, I think, from Georgia that got drafted by the Titans a few years back. And he was at home, and he was a similar situation where they have the cameras at home. And he's a big tackle, Black tackle from Alabama, I think. And his girlfriend was white.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry. He played at Georgia. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
you
know where
said
he's
it
from,
right.
but
No,
he
you
played
said it
at
right.
Georgia, and he got drafted by Tennessee. His girlfriend, who's white, sat on his lap, and it was funny
That's
because
inappropriate in
it
any,
was
of any rate. I'm
he
sorry.
was
No
he
one
was
should
like
do
he had
that.
like his
That's
head
not
down
racial.
and crying kind of, and I'll show you the video, but she sat on his lap, and it was clear that she was looking at the screen, and she was like trying to get airtime, it felt like, and she kept looking back, and
But
his
any
mom
woman could do that.
I was saying that no, this has nothing to do with race. It's
Oh,
just
okay,
a funny
okay.
thing that I was saying that my mom, and if we had a similar situation like that, especially back then, my mom's mellowed out some as she got older, she'd have been out there snatching people up, especially if you was trying
His
to get
mom
some
did that?
airtime. Oh yeah, his mom snatched the girl off of him, and I believe it was his mom. I think so. That was the story, and then he actually ended up having a pretty disappointing career. He's the first round
Aw.
pick and only had 3 snaps, I think.
And it wasn't her fault.
Yeah, went on. Yeah, it wasn't her fault. She was in his car when he got a DUI, though. He went on to become a rapper.
Still not her fault. But no, but like so I've heard a lot of like negative opinions on how many black men in the draft, because I think for black society and black women, like, and people say it's black women who feel this way, but I don't know. Like, we're not haters. It's just like you see so often like black men who are like, quote unquote successful or who've made it not opting to be with black women as often as black women who have been successful and who've been carrying black families have been choosing black men forever.
And I think,
and even when we have other choices,
like
it's a phenomenon, and it leaves me a little bit like curious. And is it standards of beauty that often?
Yeah, okay. I mean, I think there's all that stuff.
All these things like that come together.
All that stuff is on the table and it's worth talking about. But I think what I see that's different is the terminology that you used was perfect. It's that they are opting for white women when I don't necessarily think that is what they are opting for. I think that it's a function of being 19, 20, 21, 18 years old and being in predominantly white institutions.
PWIs.
And also having like the segregation barriers lessened a bit. Because if you're an athlete, you, at least for me, you're automatically in the better dorms. You're in the nicer part of campus. There aren't parties that you can't go to. There aren't places that aren't welcoming to you.
I mean, shoot, I was real popular too, but I still ain't going. Anyway,
I know.
I went home with him.
I'm not speaking to you. I'm speaking to the general conversation, because I do think that it's unfair. I mean, not unfair. It's social media. It happens. But I do feel like maybe it is incumbent on these young men to seek out black women. Maybe some people think that's part of their responsibility.
I don't think that's fair.
Part of their obligation. I don't think it's fair either. But I think that some people might think that. But what I don't think is true is that they are seeking white women. I think that what happens when you're at a PWI,
which is how a lot of people see it.
Yeah, and I think that's how it's framed. Is I think what happens when you're there is, like I mentioned, they don't have the barriers that most people have, and they don't need to create the community that I think that other just like non-athlete black students join frats, join sororities, join the Black Student Union, go to the black parties, do the black things. We show up on campus at 17, 18 years old, and we can go wherever we want and do whatever we want. And then there's also the idea that we have some status that automatically makes us attractive. And I think that the guys are in these situations that for every 2 black women, there are 10 white women. And I think it's
just the numbers game of them being
feels,
PWIs that are like,
yeah, I feel
10
like
20% black.
If they are not actively seeking out, the numbers suggest, the randomness would suggest that that's who they would end up with. Because at least for men, I think, I can't say all men, but for me, when I was in college, I was not looking to find my wife. And I think most guys aren't looking to find their wife. They're looking to have a good time. And
these are like colorblind daters. Like they are.
Yeah, I think.
Because that's something where it's different for me,
guys,
at least most of the women I know. And like now, those of us who are like, I'm turning 40 this year, and so a lot of my friends are, and some who are still single are like, I should have been looking at white guys all along, but like just haven't found themselves attracted to them. A lot of the women that I'm friends with, the black women I'm friends with, are attracted to black men.
Right.
And whether it's because women, we aren't just thinking short term, we're thinking long term, and we want to have, these black families or whatever, or if it's just like, that's what I think is sexy, like whatever it is. So even in college, even when I wasn't looking for my husband, so lucky that I found him at the very, very tail end. But even when I wasn't looking for my husband, I was looking for what I was attracted to. And it wasn't
Yeah, and I think
that's just different.
I keep saying 17, 18, 19, 20 year old.
I was 17, 18, 19, 20 too, though, I'm saying.
You were never a man or a boy.
I know. I'm just saying it's different for women.
So all I'm saying is that's the reason why I keep saying that is because I think that at that time, guys aren't looking for that. They're looking to have a good time in college. And I think the way that it happens, at least speak for me, is like, yeah, looking for a good time. And then, hey, you're cool. And maybe most of them aren't cool, but you meet one that's cool. And you're around, then it's your girlfriend. Then you get drafted. Then you know what? It's not like you're like, hey.
You're on draft day and then you break up with them because you're scum.
I did break up with her, but it wasn't because I'm scum. It's because I was not looking for a wife. And anyway, I think, and then you get to the situation. And I guess the point I'm making is it doesn't feel to me like these are people, talented, so to speak, or like exceptional people, Black people in an exceptional situation with some status saying, now, finally, I can get the white girl that I always wanted. I think that's not true. I think that guys with status have a harder time, I think, finding people. And when you have a choice, and I think this is also part of your point, and I think this is what angers some Black women also, is though the belief is those white women wouldn't have been interested in you if you couldn't do this or do that.
I've never been a white woman. I can't speak on them or what they think.
I'm not saying them saying that this is what irritates some of the Black women.
Yeah, no, I understand. And I think also it's just too that being a Black woman, like I think that a lot of people I know more and more now, like Black women are attractive to, a rainbow of men. But again, like so many, at least, and I can only talk about myself and the women I know, we are seeking a Black partner, whether it's like a hookup or a husband. Like we're looking for Black men. And I think that's been the case historically. And maybe some of it hasn't always been by choice. But I think so much of it, if you go back like through, like, I remember when I was in my last year of college, I was writing this paper on like Black Oscar winners through history and thinking about like how men were represented, like the Jezebel, like when Halle Berry won Monsters Ball, it was like she was this like basically who was having sex with the old white man. I guess he wasn't that old, but anyway, Angelina's, whatever his name was, ex. And then there was like the mammy role, like when it was, a long time ago, the first Black woman who won it. And then men often win for like Denzel Washington didn't win for Malcolm X. He won for Training Day, where he's like a crooked cop. And Sidney Poitier, he was like dating a white woman in that, right? Like, but men typically just are seen. The stereotype for Black men is like that they're attractive. And this dates back like to slavery. Like as Black women, we were either supposed to like have a bunch of babies, like or nurse white babies, or, be open to have sex with the master. Like the stereotypes around us weren't very positive.
Choice and open.
Yes. And Black men, were seen as, which wasn't necessarily a good thing, but often like you guys were seen as being so strong. Like you can do all the labor and stuff like that. Right. But ultimately, like, strong is attractive.
All that stuff is ingrained.
And so it's ingrained. And so for Black and standards of beauty, like beautiful women, even as Black women, like, and I have benefited from some of those things, like have their hair,
they got YouTube. You don't gotta explain
their
it.
Nose, no, I'm very brown though, but some things I have been in the sun. But I'm not saying I haven't benefited from the fact that like standards of beauty are like European. But for Black women, it's frustrating sometimes because it's like through history, we have stood by you, like, and when, and then it seems like maybe Black men don't choose us in the way that we've chosen you, and where you guys have this opportunity, and it's not an opportunity to me because it's not what I would have wanted, to be kind of desired because Black men are so sexy and athletes are cool and rappers are cool, to be desired by non-Black women, that historically I would say, some people would say Black women haven't had. Now I think kind of like I've always thought we were fabulous, but
I don't think any of that is wrong.
But I'm just saying why it feels like people hate on it sometimes, even though at 40 I don't.
I mean, I guess maybe this is something that people who are listening or watching, this is news to them, but none of this is news to me. Like I understand why it could be
disclaimers.
I understand why it could be offensive, like, or why it could upset certain groups of people. Like that's not confusing.
But it doesn't upset me, to be clear.
No one said it. Okay. You said it multiple times. We're fine with it. You're so scared. I said you was trying to cover your ass earlier. You keep saying
no,
I'm
not. No, it's not just that I'm trying to cover my ass. I think it points. No, I think it points. I was a hater on it, and like I didn't understand it, and I was like, why do you guys want this? Like, why? And your
I
think it more speaks to my evolution.
You're married and.
Yeah, that, but also I think, so maybe it's not just that I'm married, so I'm not out here trying to find me a man, but that like, I see that like, and I don't know what it would be like to be with someone from a different race, but like, I'm like, who am I to judge if two people have real feelings or not? Like, if you do, good for you. Like, I was so excited with Love. I don't remember the name of the case, not Loving. So yes, I want Loving case to be around, but with the Love Wins case a few years ago, like people, consenting adults should be able to be with, like that's a society you want to live in, right? But you also don't want a society where
that's what I find
people don't want Black women.
Nerds, because you referencing court cases.
Can we play heads up? Because I'm not a nerd. I'm a gamer.
Yeah, you try to. I mean, I've told you this, but the audience needs to know. They need to know that I met you when we were in college, and I tried to flirt with you, and you were nice enough, but it didn't seem like it was going to end in the way that I wanted it to.
Listen, last time I seen him was at lunch with his white girlfriend.
And and you also seem pretty ditzy, and I was like, I don't find this attractive. And then the only time I took you seriously was after that, towards the end of college, when I had a conversation with you. I was like, hey, she's not stupid. And then I was like, all right. It just speaks to status being attractive. And then you got into like fancy law school, and I was like, all right, now she can be a wife.
We were dating well before then. Like,
I know. I'm just saying that I recognize that was, why are you rolling your eyes? Like, I think I'm saying that part of the reason, at least for me, another thing that I think you deal with as athletes is people believing that somebody is only with you because you're an athlete. And I actually don't. I'm not offended by it.
He's only with me because I'm pretty and he thinks I'm smart.
Not only, but I mean, like, status matters. And, like, I recognize that part of the thing that is attractive about me is that I was really good at something. And also, like, it helps that to all the physical attributes that are attractive for men. It's like, yeah, it's really good at something really tough and manly and masculine. So.
And he's still in great shape.
I am. Yeah. Thank you, Ashley, for this. This was a great segment. Thank you.
Rose, the team, they won a game, but they also lost a game. But we don't have to talk about that one because they won their last game.
Yeah, 2-1.
Metro
Getting better
Tigers.
every week. Go Tigers. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, all my great producers, Serafina, Megan, Kevin, Brian, Podville. I love you. We out. Oh, also, in Charlie's honor, Cortez Coward.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.